Hey, this is Sasha Evdokov, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Let's Talk Stocks, episode number 102. And in this episode, I wanted to share with you some more insight about the charts of what's going on, what's happening in the current market condition, because it's more volatile right now. So if I dissect a few more charts for you, seeing the health of those charts, maybe it'll give you some insight behind the trading environment and what it is that I'm looking at the different types of stocks. Now, before we get into these stock charts, I want you to remember that all of these examples that we do are strictly for educational and illustrative purposes. I think most of you know that, but since we're sharing a lot of examples today, understand that none of these examples are really recommendations to buy or sell any stock or security. It's not any type of investment recommendation. So go ahead, talk to your financial advisor if you're looking for advice on any specific stock or company based on your own personal risk tolerance. So before we get into the charts and before we get into looking at the stock charts, I do also want to share with you some quick insight to some of the notes and some quick news and what's happening. Now, we did release a critical charts video, which was posted not long ago. So if you're a member, go ahead and take a look at that. That's on the website. Also, I added a PDF version of the books, and now you can pay by PayPal, which in the past it was only by Amazon. But now you can do PayPal and you get the PDF version because I guess some people don't have a credit card, but they do have a PayPal account. And finally, it's the last few days to get a coaching session at the discounted rate. So if you're interested in a coaching session, be sure to go ahead and book a coaching session. And that is if you want to do any reviews with me, talk one-on-one, and just look overall at your own personal trading style, trading strategy, and come up with a little system and a little toolbox for yourself. So we'll just ping pong ideas back and forth on webcam or even share our screens together. So that's just something what we can do, and I'll just give you some more insight to moving forward in trading and investing. So now let's take a look at on screen, and what I want to do is just kind of rifle through a few of these fairly quickly. I actually recorded this video already once, but forgot to hit the record button. So let's do it a second time. So here we are, we go again on the S&P 500, and let's just take a look at these stock charts and rifle through these. Again, this is not any recommendation to buy or sell any security. It's just some insight to the charts, some lines of support, resistance, and things I see within the environment. So looking at this one, looking at the S&P 500, we had a lot of consolidation happening over here as we broke out to new highs at this price point. We came into this at the 2120 level, and I've discussed that in the critical charts video for the members out there. This was the key line, and the stock market bounced off of this level. We've had a few times that we tested this level, but it bounced off of those levels, and right now we're holding above it. So all things come down to Wednesday when the interest rate Fed hike decision comes out. So keep an eye out. These things could whip around up until that point, which is only a couple more trading days. So we'll see if you can endure the pain. Just watch this key level. If we break that level, what you're watching is some other lines in the sand is something like 2030. You're also watching here at the Brexit level. There's some other things right here from the multi-year levels right here at the 1850 level. So all these things are going to come into play, especially if you break that 2120 level. So watch those key levels. Of course, 2100 is also another level that's important because it's again, nice round number. So you're also watching those kinds of things as well in the charts. But until then, be patient and just stay nimble. So let's do a quick review of some charts. We'll just kind of rifle through these very quickly and just give you some insight to some lines of support and resistance. So here on Apple, what I'm watching, here is some lines of support right here. The stock's coming into this level. We had a little pop or breakout of this resistance down descending resistance line. We had a little breakout, and then the stock came back, and now we bounced again. I do see the volume coming in. Okay, so there is volume coming in, but unfortunately, this stock on a multi-year level has actually been acting very weak, and that's one of the things that has me concerned. So unless it can break out to with really good volume for a few weeks, it's still I'm still more in the cautious camp of this one. One thing I do like is that if you look at this line of resistance is also broken because you had this swing point right here. So that's creating also a nice movement to the upside. So that's Apple for you. Let's take a look at Bristol Myers. This one was also in our critical charts review in the past. I talked about a price level right here where if it broke this price level, you can see a lot of swing points right here. We could see lower prices. And you can see right there, we did break it. You can see massive volume coming in. And this stock just continues to act weak. If you look at the weekly chart and you just take a look, right here was our break. Stock continues to move lower. Here's some lines of support. Here's some lines of resistance. Okay, there was our initial breakout. We got to these top ends, but then moved lower on massive volume. And this one more than likely is going to come into, I would imagine, a $50 price range would be, normal for this stock because of the amount of volume that's coming into this. If it really gets into some serious trouble, you could potentially see it come into this $40 level, but I don't know if it'll get there. I think value buyers will step in. Maybe with time, if it had a, let's say, bounce and then got into 40, but more than likely, if it'll come down to 50, it'll probably bounce and we'll see value buyers stepping in. If we take a look at Facebook right here, this one, we had some nice breakouts right here. Stock broke out, came into some highs, market acted a little choppy, came in to retest these support levels. So you could see that support resistance line right there. And we tested those levels. We're bouncing on lighter volume, which I don't like. And, I'd like to see more follow through, although we did get some nice volume on the pop. This one is, we're going to have to see this price level to see if it can hold it. So that line right there is your line in the sand. That's the key for you. LVS, I like this one. I like this one and what I'm seeing. We had nice volume breakout right here, nice volume breakout right here. It's a fairly good breakout on the line of resistance right there. There's your breakout point, and the angle of elevation is right here. So if you look at it, it's kind of about 45-degree level right there. Maybe 60 degree. But you can see right there, a nice breakout with nice volume, looks good, nice trend. I would like to see a little pullback and then power higher. That'd be nice. One thing I do like about this stock is if I bring it back and I look at this line of support and resistance, more along the lines of here, you can see, let's see if I can draw it a little better. You can see right here, we had some lines of resistance and the stock is clearing that now. Here's some lines of support, which right there, you had some consolidations and some price levels that you might want to watch right around this $60 price level. So those are some levels above that you want to watch. And as the stock gets into that, peel some shares off. Overall, the stock looks okay because you had here potentially an A to B, B to C, C to D pattern. Potentially, but you can see the volume picking up. The one thing that has me concerned is the volume over here, and you compare it to the volume here. I would rather see the current volume be much larger than the previous volume. That would be nice. You're not always going to get it, but that would be ideal and perfect. So, just watch that. If you don't have that, doesn't mean you can't trade it. It's just less things are in your favor. Starbucks, I typically like this as a value play. This one is coming into some nice lines of support. So you could see there's some support that's been holding up really well. The volume is also declining as we get into support because you can see the bounce volume right there was fairly nice. So right now the volume is weaker as we come in. So I believe it'll hold it. But if we break it, you're probably going to see some things at the round numbers like the $50 range as the support. Also right here, you have a little bit of a swing point right here and potentially at the $40 range, which you can see some support resistance at those levels. So those are some things to watch. And then you also had that stock split right here, which could be a minor support, but I'm unsure about that. It just depends on the price action here. But ultimately, right now, it's coming into some nice levels. I would expect a little bounce here. I don't think it'll break through it, but anything can happen, especially if volatility picks up. You might see it roll over, and then it could get into the 50, which could be a nice value buy. 45, nice value buy, because overall this stock, if you look at the bigger picture, has been moving really well, especially A to B, B to C, C to D pattern. So again, could we be setting up for another A to B, B to C, C to D pattern? We could, but time will tell. So in either case, those are some lines to watch on that stock. Amazon, this one also ABCD pattern. If you look at it, we had some minor ABCD patterns right here, stair-step kind of pattern and effect. Or if you really look at it, you have an A to B, B to C, C to D pattern, but we're kind of getting into that extension of that C to D already. So for me, I would really like it if this stock actually pulled back right here and then bounced to that level, okay, and then bounce from here, because that, with a pullback, a healthy pullback would be nice. The one thing that has me concerned about this stock is that we have right here, we're coming into higher prices. It's at all-time highs, and we have declining volume. So you could see right there, declining volume coming into all-time highs. And I would like to see a pullback if possible. I don't know if we'll get it, but if you're interested in this one, be very cautious because it's at those all-time highs. Alibaba, we've had this one in the critical charts. This one, I know there's a lot of people short this stock. We had some resistance here, support here. The breakout was right there. Here's some key lines, double bottom that was created in your W pattern. The other thing that you're watching is the $100 century mark was also broken, so a secondary entry point. But you do have to be careful right here near the 120. It's right around the 118 level, because you do have these overhead buyers from overhead supply that still are interested in getting out of the stock. So keep in mind, as you get into these levels, probably right around here, start taking some profits because the stock is still fairly new. And, you want to be careful. We do have nice volume. It's fairly good, fairly healthy. The $100 price point now is your line of support. And then you also have it right here, which would be right around the $86, $85 range. So keep that in check. Cracker Barrel, here's another one we've had in the critical charts in the past multiple times and even recently. The breakout was right here, but we got into this range a little bit toppy. And if you look right here, here's our resistance levels, and that would mean that is our support. We've had a pullback here from these highs, and when you had that pullback, you saw the volume coming in. When we got this next bounce, okay, the bounce was on lighter volume, okay? Normally, that's the shorts taking some profits, or it's a counter trend bounce. And then you got the follow through, which continued right here on even heavier volume. So in my opinion, this stock is ready to set up for some more lower prices. I would expect the lower prices to be somewhere around this range. It can come back into this range or level. You do have some support at the 130 as well. But you'll have to see how much selling comes in, whether it bounces here or it comes in and bounces around this level. It just depends how fast. The faster it goes, just looking like at Bristol Myers that we talked about, faster it goes, the more likely it'll continue lower. CMI, this one right here, we have a line of support, which now is resistance, and you can see the resistance right there. Okay, stock sold off here for a little bit and then bounced, and we got into that level, into that resistance level. And the reason for that is because as we bounced, we did so on lighter volume. Look at that descending volume. And as we rejected it, higher volume on the rejection. So my guess and what I'm thinking is this stock is going to try to play around this range or level for a little bit. and then build energy, whether that's to the upside or the downside. So we will see. Time will tell. But the key levels that, of course, you're watching would be right here, this level, and these levels right here. So right now it's kind of a no man's land. Can you still play with it if the stock comes down and bounces here? And can you play the bounce and then take it off at this level? Yeah, you could. You could take it off at the 127 and buy it at the 106 levels. You could do that, but it's shorter term. Playing the bounces. MasterCard, this one I like to look at a little bit more of a longer term picture, simply because it trades a little bit lighter volume. You have a swing point here, some more swing points here, a few swing points in this level, almost a swing point that came into this price level here as well, but the breakouts here. The concerning part for me is the breakout volume is not anything amazing. It is a little bit higher because if you look at the previous volume here and the retracements of volumes, it is a little bit higher, but it's not anything exciting, and that is also because I'm watching this price level here, which is the swing highs right around 101. So it's pretty much coming into the century mark. So I would personally wait for this one till it clears these all-time highs right around the 102 level. I'd wait for that price level. But your long-term support's right around 85. So keeping your eyes in check and keeping this one on the radar, watching it for higher prices. But it is starting to break out. The volume is starting to pick up. I'm just not convinced yet until it breaks the 102 level. That's what I would wait for. Solar City, this one's having some trouble. We've had it in the critical charts multiple times. I've talked about shorting this one here. Came down, broke it here. We had a little pop on this stock right there, but it just couldn't hold it. Massive selling then again came in, and every time we try to get a bounce, this one comes in perfectly into resistance. You can see on lighter volume, and then heavier bearish volume kicks in. Then again, we retrace right here on lighter volume, and then again we get more of a sell-off. So it's acting quite weak, and there's quite a bit of trouble. And if it breaks this level right here, especially at the $17 level right here, if it breaks this level, you could definitely see it much lower in the $10 range, which is really troublesome. And it kind of goes along with the Tesla story as well, because they're kind of tied in together, right? So you notice some swing highs here and swing points. Stock is creating a massive line of resistance areas. We did have some potential to break out at these levels, but there's just not enough volume. If you look at the decline in volume right here, and then what's picking up, it's the bearish red volume. And then again, here the volume is kind of isolating, and you'll see that the larger volume is always right here. The ABCD pattern is to the downside. So you're always watching how these things are coming into these lines of support and resistance. And this stock has some key support right here at this level, which we're kind of getting into. And that price level would be 187.93, so 188. If it breaks that price level, if it comes in here, I think it'll still test it. It'll come into it. If it tests it and bounces, then there you go, probably resistance up here and then sell off again. So that'll play out until it doesn't anymore. But if it breaks this level, the key line that I'm watching in the sand is that 150 level. And at that point, probably value buyers will step in, because that kind of takes it out to a longer term range over here. But right now the volume's kind of dying out a little bit on the bounce. You can see that even today's volume is a bit weaker than the sell-off action that we've had recently. So be very careful with this one if you're playing it to the long side, because it'll whip around. TLYS, you can see this one. A little bit cheaper stock. Here's the $6 range, broke out right there. Massive volume, had a decline in volume here as we were selling off big time. Another break higher. This one is exploding like a rocket ship, and I'm very cautious about any stock that's exploding like a rocket ship, even though we do have the volume. We have those lines of resistance right here that it did break, okay? So it did break out, but you have some trouble that's coming up ahead. So we got some trouble over here. I got some trouble over here that it's coming into. There's just massive amounts of overhead supply. So for a stock that's $7, $6, $7.35, for it to break out that far that fast, if you caught it, it's amazing. That's great, and you probably made a lot of money. But in general, these stocks typically don't move this quickly, this fast. So what I would expect is if you're interested in this one, wait for a pullback right here, potential bounce, and then see if that bounce will hold. And that's when you can get higher prices, because that's more healthy. If it just continues moving up, that's just not normal and not sustainable. It's not real. And Twitter's my last one here. Doing this a second time. Again, we have some resistance right here overhead. We had a little swing point right here, which is causing that resistance, and another one right here. This one's having some trouble. And if it breaks out of this price level, if it breaks out right here and we see it moving higher, you're going to see some trouble probably right here around the $35 range, unless they really create something amazing or new with this live streaming video. But really, it's going to have some trouble. So if it does break out, and if you are long, I would take some profits as we get into here, because more than likely I would say it's going to sell back off and potentially, again, retest that level. But for now, I think it's going to stay under that $20 price range because it's really having some trouble. So right here, just keeps trying. If it breaks it, watch that 30, and then it might roll over again because you got some resistance at that $30 price range. So that's kind of some of the things to watch out for and be careful of, and those are some of the charts. So I hope you found this video helpful and insightful and just got to see a little bit about the charts and really some lines of support, resistance, and how you could trade these stocks if you were to trade them, or at least just learn from them. Even if you're not trading, maybe you could just learn from them about some technical analysis about how stocks move, how they behave, and just my thinking and processes behind them. I know I went a little bit quickly because I tried to show a lot of different charts, a lot of examples, but you can review the video multiple times. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. Now, if you're interested in a one-on-one session or you're interested in booking a coaching session, then please do so very soon in that next day or so, because otherwise the rates will increase and you'll miss that chance and opportunity. And if you want to always get notified when good things are happening, discounts, specials, promotions, definitely get on the newsletter list, because when you're on the newsletter list, that's where I send out those alerts, announcements, if things are changing or if anything new or different is happening. So if you're on the newsletter list, you'll get notified as things are happening. Thanks again for joining me. In the end, remember, there's more to life than money. Go out, do what you love, contribute to other people, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.